So, Grant, this is your first time in this stream, in this community. I would really love to hear about how you got into music in the first place, how you came to the guitar, and then at one point, where were you like, hey, I'm going to become one of the fastest guitar players and most high-octane performers in the world?
I've never heard it put that way, but yeah, man, I started in grade seven. I never really actually let's bring this back because this is actually kind of a memory that I kind of forget about. But back in elementary school, in grade four and five, everybody is starting to pick up the recorder and the ukulele and things like that. And I would play the ukulele in front of my class every lunch hour in grade four. Uh, and I had like a little pencil crayon empire, you could say. Um, like people would throw up pencil crayons
Yeah.
while I was playing, and like I was like the pencil crayon like kingpin. I started paying people in pencil crayons to like protect it because then some kids would come up and try to take it, and it was pretty ridiculous. And one day some chick got like hit in the eye with a pencil crayon, and that was kind of the end of it, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
The teacher kind of put a stop to it, but I had a pretty hit song back in the day called "The Lump on the Bump."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, didn't really
Where's...
get much airplay,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
so that I sometimes forget about that whole kind of escapade, which is kind of a weird thing. And then I got into middle school, and that's when like concert band opened up. Like so when I was growing up, like I was really into hockey.
Nice.
So my parents didn't really put me into music or anything like that. I already just gravitated towards hockey, and I was, that kind of took up all my time. But then in middle school, I was like, oh, I want to start getting into bands. So started in concert band. I was playing the trombone, hanging out in the music room all the time. I really wanted to play drums or like bass because there's no guitar in concert band there, but
Right.
I wanted to get on drums or bass. So I didn't quite get those instruments, but I was always hanging out in the jam in the band room, messing around on them, playing with other musicians who were also, into the same stuff. And I shortly after that I bought a bass so I can kind of jam with the drummer, a
Nice.
drummer that I was jamming with in there. And then after a while doing that, I traded the bass for a guitar because the bass was just like, I don't know, it wasn't calling to my soul. I needed a few more strings. And yeah, man, that's kind of how I got started into playing music, was through middle school concert band, hanging around the band,
That's cool. Was it
the
like the
band room.
people around your age, or was it like a teacher who kind of inspired you at any point, or was it just the feeling of
Yeah,
doing
it
music?
was the people around my age for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, a few good friendships were developed during that time, which sprouted into my first band. Just like a pop punk band, and
Yeah.
we actually did like, at one point we did a little middle school tour where we played like there was like three of us who were in like different schools, and we all set it up so that we played in the different middle schools like
Oh, that's
in
sick.
different days, different lunch breaks.
Nice.
That was my first show, was doing that.
Cool. Do you remember the first song your band did?
Uh, One of them was like 99 Red Balloons. I can remember
Nice.
that one being in there.
I
It was a lot of
Yeah.
like Blink 182 and like Sum 41 kind of
Mm,
things like that.
yeah. I think actually my intro to music was starting like a small band in middle school, and in seventh grade we did Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix, and that
Oh,
was literally,
nice.
yeah, and that was like the only song we did. We probably played like three like school assemblies or something. That was it. But then I found my way into other musical stuff. But that brings back so many good memories. When
That
did
was
you
like kind of how
start?
I got a stringed instrument in my hands for the
Nice.
first time,
Cool.
right? And I've talked about this with my community, and they know what happened next. But you know, one day I came home from school and I saw Iron Maiden, it's Rock in Rio 2001 concert playing on TV, and then that's kind of what got me into heavy
That
metal.
CD. I have that CD.
Actually, it was the live DVD.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it
that's
was just
sick.
like, and that video is cut so like glamorously, where like every shot of it, they're like, throwing their guitar up or busting this mean pose, and I was like, holy cow, like, no, like, hey, what is this?
It's like totally something high octane, totally different than what you get in like middle school band, middle school. That's awesome. Oh, that's
Totally,
sick.
man.
So, at what point did you start like writing your own solos and getting into that like more power metal feeling in your playing? Like what,
Yeah,
you know,
that came a little later, right?
yeah.
So like in, from grade 7 to 9, this was like this is when I met some good lifelong friends. That's when I met Andrew,
Yeah.
who is the other guitar player, Unleash the Archers. We were both part of a program through a music store in Courtney, BC, on Vancouver Island, called Weekend Warriors.
Sick.
Where you sign up your kid. So my parents signed me up to this because they're like, okay, this guy's, he's starting to get into music. He wants to continue to do this. They got me a new guitar one Christmas. I think it was like grade 8. And then this Weekend Warriors, they all put you into a band. You sign up as just a single student. Say I play guitar, and they put you into a band.
Hmm.
You have a teacher, a coach that you kind of learn a bunch of covers, and you try to write your own song, and then at the end of the term you perform a concert.
Nice.
So we had and so then after that, Andrew and I started a metal band after that called Vial of Blood, and we started to write our own songs, and like they weren't very good, and we played some local shows and stuff like that. And then things really continued to progress, and both Andrew and I moved down to Victoria when we were both like 16 to go. There was a drummer down there that we really wanted to jam with. Thankfully and luckily, the town that we grew up in, Comox Valley, Courtney and Comox, it had a really good punk scene.
Cool.
Like all ages punk scene. So like we were going to shows like every weekend. One of the first shows I saw when I was like, I don't know how old I was, 12, 13, 14, was 3 Inches of Blood in a small little youth center. So that was happening all the time. So nowadays, like there's no shows happening there. So
Right.
we were just, I don't know, very lucky that we grew up there. And then our band, Golgotha, Knights of the Apocalypse, whatever we were called at the time, we were sometimes opening these shows, right?
Nice.
As like 12, 13-year-old kids. And, much later on, I ended up, becoming very good friends with all those bands and touring with them in my own punk bands. And I even played guitar for Alcoholic White Trash on a tour. I played drums for them on a tour.
And it's all that
But,
exposure that led you into that. Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
totally, man. And they talk about it now too. When I see them, they're like, "Yeah, man, I remember coming up there, and there was like these like 12-year-old kids like shredding circles around us." Right? They're all like, these old like, middle-aged punks just coming, and we're like, they show up to the little youth center, and we're just like sitting there already, just like noodling away.
I was wondering, like, so I'm a musician who everything I perform is already on paper for me. I don't write my own music. It's all like 200-year-old dead white guy music. And I was just wondering, like, for you, when you approach, a new piece, when UTA is writing a new album, you're coming up with new songs. How do you approach writing those like amazing riffs and those solos?
It's different every time, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's that question. It's like, where do you find the inspiration? Where
Right.
does it come from? Where do you start? And it can start from anything. It can start from just you're walking around and you have this little melody in your head, and you just record it on your phone, and you go back to it, and you're like, oh, I want to develop that more. So like what I do now is the first part of my guitar practice every day is just recording myself noodling anything. Just, not getting in the way of my own mind and just getting out ideas. And then something like that I'll review once a week, and that's when you hear it and be like, ooh, okay, that idea can get developed further. I liked the sound of that, so I'm gonna actually turn that into a riff.
Yeah.
But it could start from anything. It could be jamming a song you already know. On the acoustic. There's been times when I've been on an acoustic playing a different song, and I just like the sound of a couple chords, right? And then I'll be like, oh, okay, let's turn that into something.
And you just spend
Um,
time developing it, noodling it, and like reducing the friction between you and like the flow of the melody.
yeah, yeah. I
Cool.
think for me, it's important not to analyze it initially when it comes out.
Hmm.
Because Andrew's a big songwriter for
Mm.
Unleash Your Archers as well, and he's just you know he's on another level as far as knowledge and music and chord um, structures and
Yeah.
things like that, and melody. And a lot of it just comes from like something you hear in your head, right?
Right.
You hear this, you vividly imagine this song in your head first, and then you try to manifest it into actual notes.
Yeah. So it's
Sometimes a
hearing it
lot of it
first.
just starts with um, you know a feel and the concept. Like for us, these past two albums, they've been concept albums, so there's been a feeling that we're going for on each song before we even start writing it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's really important to have, a bit of a direction to where you want to go.
When I first found you guys, I loved the energy of your music, but the last two albums, the stories you guys tell, and like the effectiveness of how that music contribute towards just the feeling of each like song, each movement that moves the story forward. That's what kept
Mm.
me like invested in that, and so I'm so glad to hear that that's like part of the process because it that
Thank
comes
you, man.
across
Yeah,
so
and
well. Yeah.
that is all, mostly Brittney. She's been coming up with the stories and the concept before we even start writing any music. That comes first,
That's awesome.
right? So she's already got a layout track by track what's going to happen in the story, what the song should feel like. She doesn't come up with riffs or anything like, but she'll give us a direction and a feeling that the song should be.
I've noticed when I've watched a lot of your live concerts, the energy you bring to the stage is really directed at the audience. Like you interact a lot with the people who are right there with you. And sort of to segue into this other idea, how did you feel like that audience engagement? Obviously we all lost that as musicians when lockdown started, but when you started streaming on Twitch, you and your bandmates all have a really awesome like content network, and you do a great job of sharing your music on Twitch and on YouTube. And how did that shift like the way you conceive of your connection with the audience?
Wow,
'Cause
man.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been the saving grace of COVID, right? Is all of us jumping over here on Twitch,
yeah,
and I could say I've never felt more connected with our fan base than now because of Twitch and because of the community that we've all built here, right? So, and that is absolutely one of the most important things to us is fostering that relationship with the people who support us, because without anybody caring about what we do, we would still be jamming in our garage.
yeah.
Right? So it's incredibly important, live too. It's
Of course.
you have no idea how long somebody has waited to see you, how much it means to them. And, that just, I constantly remind myself of that
Yeah,
before going out, that's all that matters, right? It helps me get out of my own head and
totally.
perform for somebody else.
Yeah, so this actually relates really well to a chat question. G Signal asked, Do you write for an album when you come up with music, or do you write for the live performance? I know you just said you write for the audience experience, but when you are thinking of the music coming to life for you, what is that imagination like?
That's a really good question, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I think you have to do both. I think as bands mature, they start to realize that, when you start to go out on the road and tour, you realize, oh man, this song sucks to play live. It's a great song. It's technically awesome, but like, I just can't, it just doesn't relate and translate as well live.
Right.
So, I think first and foremost, we write for the album, but we always have it in the back of our heads that it needs to translate well live as well.
Cool. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I'm thinking now of like, combining that with that idea of live streaming becoming more and more prevalent and necessary right now to connect with audiences, to connect with bands. And I know you have this awesome mobile setup that you brought on some of your gigs over the last tour. Do you have any ideas on how that might influence, the type of content you'll be creating or the type of concerts you'll be kind of gearing towards, knowing that there's that extra dimension of live streaming capability?
Yeah. So, as you know this too, as a content creator, as a streamer, it's you're always trying to think of new ways to have engaging content and to involve, everybody else with what you're doing. So, I'm always kind of looking at what new technology is there to be able to enhance that experience.
Totally.
And to deliver the best content as possible. So yeah, I brought the backpack rig out.
Yeah. I saw that
on tour.
Saw that clip. Yeah.
There's actually a new updated version of that main brain that I use where you can actually have multiple cameras set into it and you can have your overlays and camera switches. So
right, that's sick.
That would be something I would love to upgrade to at some point.
Yeah. What's that called? Do you know? Or
it's the Live U Solo.
Nice.
It's the one that I use.
With all that in mind, we hit the COVID thing. Things have changed. Things are a little different. But you mentioned, we were messaging, you mentioned that you guys are going to be going into a new album. You're going to be writing a new album over the next year. Are there, as artists, we are always evolving, changing our process, changing the way we approach things. Is there anything is there any a mindset or an idea or something that you're really excited about in approaching this new album and the process of it?
I'm just excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like, it's something I do every day, right? Is I visualize things that I'm working on as already done, right? So I'm already celebrating in my mind how awesome the album already is, even though we haven't even wrote a note for it. So
that's awesome.
I am excited to hear it myself.
That's like a creative cheat code, man. Like already being pumped about it before you've gone into the process. Yeah, it like guarantees that it's going to be something you're proud of. I love that.
Totally, man. Totally. So, we've just all grown as musicians. So I'm excited to see how it sounds, where it goes. We all have a lot more time to work on music this year than even previous efforts. So we also have a new member who is officially in the band, Nick Miller, who is our official bass player, who is an awesome musician. So I'm excited to have him involved.
That's sick.
Writing it.
Nice. Awesome.
We, not exactly sure where Britt wants to take the story. I think we might be doing a completely new story, new universe.
Totally.
So to speak. So, it's just it's a lot of excitement and,
you already went from the apex down into the abyss. So where's there to go, switch it up. I totally appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump into a couple questions from the chat. Well, the first one is there going to be a graphic novel for the last two albums? It's pretty yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
That's
Yeah,
a yes.
Brittney is going to be working on that this year. Yeah,
Cool.
that's her plan. We've obviously just been really busy with Abyss and touring and all that fun stuff, but I know it's something that she is really passionate about doing.
Nice.
It's been on the chopping block for a while, and she's already been taking steps towards it. She's already writing it. She's already got an artist I think she's working with. So
Cool. I love that you guys do that. I mean, it adds so much dimension to the music you guys have made, and it just fleshes out those stories so well. I love it. Next question. With you guys getting to go back on tour, I gotta ask, who is the prankster of Unleash the Archers?
I would have to say the newest member, probably Nick Miller.
Nice.
Yeah, we all like to prank each other, I guess, here and there. I don't know, it's a pretty, like, I don't know, even across the board, but Nick is he's got a few tricks up his sleeves. That's for sure.
Fair enough.
Watch out for him.
This one comes from Vince Belasco. Once you've done concept albums, does it become more difficult to write non-concept albums?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that, and I think we're stuck with writing concept albums, not out of like no control, but just because we enjoy it so much, and it does give so much depth into the music, and it gives so much direction, and these stories have been become such a big part of all of our lives. We can, I think it's easier to relate to things through stories. That's how things have been passed on, lessons and things like that for many times, through the ages.
Yeah. And that's how
it's
music
way more
gets passed
compelling
on, right?
told through a story
Mhm.
and just a literal way, right? So
Yeah.
it just makes things so much more fun.
Yeah, and it gives some. Yeah, I love that. That's super exciting. Now, when are we gonna see the Unleash the Archers fully staged rock opera going up at Madison Square Garden?
Oh my God, dude! Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
Oh
I
man,
would absolutely love that.
I would get behind that in a second. I would do anything I can to support.
As hopefully as things continue to grow, we'll have more budget for stage production and things like that, and bigger venues, and that's the dream, man. Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
with the way that you guys all engage with your community, like despite being confined to your homes and that kind of thing, it's no surprise that's definitely on the horizon. That's gonna be super
Thanks,
cool.
man. Thanks for the inspiration, actually.
Make it happen. I'll be there. I'll be in the front row. Cool, man.
Dude, that's definitely on my bucket list too, is playing alongside with an orchestra.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh.
One day it'll happen, guys. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be rocking until we're 80, 90, 100 years old if we can help it.
If you ever need classical musicians, hit me up. I know thousands. Grant, what would you say to starter groups to keep on going with everything in COVID happening, who didn't have momentum before, things shut down? Is there any words for them to kind of give them confidence to keep going forward?
I would say to just focus on what you have control over, and that is working on your own craft and making sure that what you put out is of good quality. Because you can't control opportunities and connections and things like. I mean, they'll develop along the way, but if you just control on getting better yourself, practicing, putting together good music, and providing really solid material to represent your band, right? That comes down to good artwork. Don't skip out. Don't take shortcuts with anything, And then the other thing is that your fan base is the most important thing, other than focusing on your own craft, right? Because you're nothing without anybody else caring about you. So just don't ever forget that.
And that's like music to my heart, those words. It's so encouraging. I'm feeling inspired now. I really appreciate
Well, you know, it's
everything
like
you just
goes
said.
down
Yeah.
to a good quote from a great motivational speaker, Jim Rohn. You know, for things to get better, you have to get better, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect things to get better without you working on yourself, right?
100%.
So, and then when you start to work on yourself, you start to build confidence and you start to get momentum. And that's where the joy of living really comes into play.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, that kind of ran down the list of all the stuff I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you want to let my audience know? Any of the new people here in chat know what's going on, where to send them for your socials? Obviously, everyone go follow Grant on Twitch. He does awesome
Yeah, I
streams.
would say Twitch and Discord is where we're trying to send everybody. It's where we all hang out the most. You know, there's still Facebook and Instagram and all that, but it's I find it's not a very personal or engaging platform. So we all, 4 out of 5 of us, we all stream on Twitch. I actually just made a Twitch team yesterday, Unleash the Archers. Um, so you guys can all follow us there. Follow me on Twitch. Follow the band on Twitch. Join our Discord. You can get the links through any of our Twitch accounts. Unleashthearchers.com essentially has everything you need. You can just go there and you can find everything.
Sick merch.
So
Sick merch. It's awesome.
yeah. You know, our artist Bo down in Florida is an incredible artist, man. Actually, I was gonna put on an Unleash the Archer shirt to rock it, but I didn't want to be that guy.
I got your logo right here. We're all covered on that. No, that's awesome.
Nice.
I was almost like, should I just buy one and wear it on this, or is that too cheeky? Thank you so much for sitting down with us. This was really inspirational. You're like the first person of this industry that I've learned to love so much over the last year that I've actually been able to talk to, and I'm feeling so inspired and warmed by this.
Oh, dude.
So thank you. Yeah.
So cool. Thank you so much, man.
All right, dude.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody joining here, either on YouTube or here live on Twitch.
Yeah. Go follow them. Go follow Unleash the Archers. Go follow Grant. Grant, thank you again. Take care. Have a great night.
You too, man.
Ciao.
Take care. Much love.
Much love. Boom.